Yes, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no problem.
You are Connie Jo Sechrist. Sechrist.
Mm-hmm.
You are a actor, producer. Anything else you'd want to add on to that, or
producer? Casting director, location. I do it all pretty much. I'm starting to write now, which is crazy.
That is crazy. What are you thinking? It's dangerous.
It's dangerous, and it's very aggravating to sit down and okay, I have a story. How do I write it? How do I concept it? How do I put dialogue to it and characters to it and all this kind of stuff? And it's hard. It's really hard.
Writing, right? Yeah, okay. Everything is hard for sure.
Yeah.
Everything is difficult, but yeah. All right. So before we jump into the writing stuff, I do want to jump into the difficulties of all the other stuff that you mentioned that you do. So
yeah,
let's start with all right, because I know you because I've had the chance to work on a couple of your sets, and I've got to see you in the producer chair a couple of times with my own eyes, and also I've had the chance to direct you once in a smaller part in my feature.
Right.
Yeah. But all right, let's start with acting. Let's start with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's the. Let's go there. I'll lead you.
Okay. So how I got into acting and what it's like, or
what is it like pursuing the acting side? Well, I like to start with what are you doing now with it, and then we can go back and see the roots.
Yeah, so I feel like now with acting, I'm kind of I'm allowing my agents and my managers to kind of facilitate that for me right now and get those acting jobs. I'm not really submitting myself to any projects anymore. I'm more interested in more collaborating with filmmakers that I know, that I've gained respect for, and create stuff together that I can act in, or they might have a project that might be a perfect fit for me to act and maybe do other creative things with.
How did you come to that decision from the self-submitting life to deciding that's not the avenue anymore,
right,
and this new approach? How did you?
I just felt it was getting a little too exhausting. As an actor, you're on all of these multiple different casting platforms, and you're getting 50 to 100 emails a day about different things that are casting. And then you have to look at those emails, and you have to look at the breakdowns, and you have to see, okay, is this a project that's interesting? Does it appeal to me? Is it something I want to submit myself to? And you have to submit kind of right away after they post the casting, because there's this whole process where you're in a certain line. If you submit a day later, you're on the bottom line. If you submit within an hour, you're on the top of their list, and it's just this whole process. So it's I was sick of being on my phone or on my computer all the time. Every single time an email came in, I was automatically taken away from what I was doing to focus on that. And then you get selected for an audition, and you're great. And then you get the script, and you're what is this?
Yeah.
And you're just it's not what I submitted to. It's not what the description said. And it kind of sets you back, and the writing's, most of the time pretty bad. And you're just
Do you have an example of expectation versus getting the script on a description, and then
so I would say, I think it was a few months ago, probably before March, before the world shut down. but I saw a casting breakdown for a sci-fi film, and I love sci-fi genre films. I love them. And it was like this detective who's a shapeshifter, and she uses her shapeshifting in order to like interrogate people, in order to get information, in order to do her job as a detective. And I don't remember the exact story description, but it looked really cool. It looked really fun. It was a feature film. And I was like, oh, this is exciting. I feel like I can fit that type of role.
You can shapeshift.
I can shapeshift. And no, I feel like I can fit like a cool detective type
for sure.
type of role. And it'd be awesome if I could shapeshift. That'd be awesome. But yeah, and then I submitted and I got the sides, and I'm reading the sides and I'm really confused of what's going on, because she's literally in a hotel room with another guy and using her sexuality, her sex, to manipulate this guy and interrogate him and get information.
Yeah.
And it was 3 scenes that they sent me, and all 3 scenes were based in this hotel, and this girl's like, this character's in her underwear sort of thing.
Yeah, using her body to, or whatever, yeah.
And I'm like, this is not what I submitted to. This is not in your description.
Yeah.
At all.
It's not a creative use of your shapeshifting abilities, really.
Right. It's like, what am I shapeshifting? So it just, and it was like, this is a sci-fi film? Like, what? I didn't understand it. And that's what really, I think, and I've had other cases similar to that, where it's like you get the script and it's just completely opposite from the description, or you get the script and you're just like, this is really bad writing. And you're like, how am I supposed to be motivated and passionate about this story or this character if it's not me? Yeah. Like, it doesn't fit me or my demographic, or my values or anything like that. So I decided to kind of step back for a while and decided, you know what, I'm not gonna self-submit anymore. I know so many filmmakers. I've established such a great network that it's like, why don't I just start concepting and making my own stuff with people that I enjoy working with, and create roles for myself that I feel like would be a good fit for me, or work with other people on their projects and help them out with like producing, and if they have a role, I can ask them about it. Like, hey, have you filled anybody for this role yet? I think I would be a good fit.
Yeah.
There's certain things like that.
Yeah.
So, taking more control, I guess.
Oh, for sure. And then how do you balance? Okay, there's it's 2 things.
Yeah.
Managers, agents, you. How do you balance what you want to do with opinions of avenues you could go down or should go down, or how do those conversations go? How did you get those people? Because I know when an actor moves to Los Angeles, the dream, the first line of like goals are, I need to get representation.
Right.
Or I need to get my reel together. I need to get representation. Those are like the beginning steps usually for.
Correct.
And then SAG eligibility, and like kind of move up like that. How did you do it?
Yeah. So before I even moved down to LA, I got contacted by an agency.
You're from?
I'm from San Jose, Northern California. So I actually kind of went back and forth between the Bay Area and LA for a while, just doing various projects. And about, 4 years ago now? About 4 years ago, I decided, you know what, I think I need to make the jump to LA. It was getting very expensive in the Bay Area to survive and live, and I wasn't making a whole lot of money working at a TV station. And my mom and my sister were interested in, like, leaving the state. So it was kind of like, okay, I think this is the appropriate time for me to probably jump ship as well. But before I moved, I got contacted by a management company who was seeing, like, you know, my updates on Instagram and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, wow, this is exciting. Like, I didn't even have to, like, look. Like, it came to me. And it felt very like, oh, this is special, right?
Yeah.
And I contacted them, and we had several meetings, and then, you know, signed a contract. So I was like, great, I'm moving to LA. I already have management ready to go. They told me, you know, hey, you should probably go to this photographer, get your headshots done. They said your reel's already very solid, because I already had, like, established a pretty good solid reel in San Francisco, working on independent films there. Great. So I was like, I can go to LA and, like, hit the ground running. I did not like my management agency at all. Moved to LA. I think it was about a month later. I got my first audition for them. And I was excited to get my first audition. And then I started looking at the breakdown. And it was for student production. So I was like, okay, I've done plenty of student productions. I feel like I'm at the state in my career where I can move past that. It was for a 45-year-old woman role who had a 17-year-old daughter.
Okay.
It was a non-paying job.
Yeah.
But the benefit, I think, was that it was going to be filmed on the WB lot as part of, like, the school. Yeah,
because they had their hookups,
right,
or whatever. Yeah. So that could have been a cool experience.
A cool experience, and you know, I talked to my manager afterwards, and he's like, the reason why we submitted you to a student film is because you're new to LA, and we just want to get the ball rolling and get more material for you. I'm like, okay, I get that, but I'm not 45. I don't look 45. I don't look like I can have a 17-year-old daughter. I can audition for the 17-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And I went over my goals and all of those things with them ahead of time. And one of my things was, like, I want to get out of student filmmaking. So it was just kind of like a bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, okay, do they understand, you know, my age range? Do they understand, you know, my goals?
Do they care?
And it was just weird. And they were very pushy on the whole social media stuff. So, like, Instagram, they wanted me to send them, like, 20 photos a week of me, of just cute pictures of me, so that they can promote that on their Instagram. They were like, go to film festivals and just go on the red carpet and take pictures. You don't need to participate in the film festival. Just make it look like you're doing stuff. And I just was not for that. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not a selfie type of Instagram person that's gonna go to the beach and lay out on her bikini and take pictures and try to gain a following of, you know, weird men. Essentially.
What I was gonna say about the role, my only potential positive spin on the what you said 45-year-old mother role is, from my understanding, I feel like I've heard this before from student film stuff, is I think I've been, like, a script supervisor on a few student films where maybe the actors aren't of the proper age, and they're like, well, it's understandable because this is a student film. We can kind of do a little bit of make-believe in here within the make-believe world, and it's kind of forgiven, which is the only positive spin I can put on it, where it's like, well, we're here pretending to, like, try out my 45-year-old self. I want to get better at being a mom. Well, I don't know. But that's not what you're trying to do anyway. So, but yeah.
But I get your point. No, but it was not.
It was not that.
My goal wasn't what I was trying to do. Plus, it happened again.
Yeah.
they submitted me again to like between a 45 to 55-year-old role that was supposed to be mixed ethnicity. And I'm Caucasian.
Yeah.
I'm not a mix. So
I guess it depends on what ethnicities you're referring to.
African American and white mixed ethnicity, specifically on the breakdown. Because I had a friend that was in casting when I first moved here, and he pinged me and he said, your manager submitted you to this project, and I saw the breakdown, and it was like 45 to 55.
Yeah.
Mixed African American and Caucasian
So
woman, and I'm like, why are they submitting me to these? So I approached my manager and I was like, look, obviously there's a misunderstanding and you don't know where to place me or how to submit me, and I just don't think this is working out. And I didn't like the fact that they're very pushy on the whole social media thing and telling me to take all these cute, sexy photos of myself and put them on Instagram. It's like, that's not who I am, and I don't think that shows my level of talent by doing that.
Yeah. That's one thing that's tough about I don't know how that actor culture really works, because there are some people, like actors specifically, again, like it's difficult to be an actor. It's difficult. The whole process is difficult.
Yeah.
And somehow it is kind of expected, for whatever reason, for whether I don't know where the expectation comes from, because I don't really feel like I'm expecting actors to continually show me what they're up to. But I do know it is an actor thing to be like, all right, I need to get like a lot of experiences. If you have time off, it's like, all right, I need to be traveling. I need to be going out and hanging out with people. I got to be doing stuff all the time, and that feels like a actor thing.
Well, I think it's a film thing too. I think as a filmmaker, you have to constantly be putting yourself out there and working on projects with people, because if you sit still and silent, people aren't going to really know who you are, and
no,
it's
for
going to be hard for you to get other projects.
I guess I rather not like productive stuff, more like you're saying, like going to the beach and showing myself on the beach, going to Joshua Tree, getting some cute pictures over there, going to Yosemite and showing myself that kind of stuff, where like I need to stay busy and I need to see the world, and that'll give me what I need to perform in the position.
I think that's more of a popularity status that a lot of some managers, not all managers, management and agencies and sometimes productions want. They want to cast somebody or hire somebody in their production that has like 10 million followers, right, on their Instagram. And as we've seen through social media, and I have this hate-love relationship with social media, because I utilize social media in the proper way, where it's like I keep in touch with friends, I connect with people, I meet new people.
When you say proper, you mean the initially intended way?
The initially intended way. But I think it's really shaped it and twisted the industry into this like popularity contest. And you see that with the youth too, like kids growing up feel like they're not acceptance in the world because they don't have a lot of followers on their Instagram, and it shouldn't be about that. And yeah, unfortunately the industry kind of turned that way too, where it was like, oh, if this person has a big following on their Instagram, I'm going to be more reluctant to probably cast them in my small independent film because they have a massive following, and so my film will get out there more. Yeah. It's an advertisement.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
And I guess this is interesting for me, because from the producer perspective, I'm sure you have the opportunity to kind of look at that stuff from a different perspective as well, with like, all right, you sit with the director and you're looking over the casting options. How much does that come into play, or what kind of input do you put into it because often, but in the indie world specifically, budgets are limited.
Right.
Advertising and back-end post stuff isn't really thought about as much. So it's like,
right.
How can we get the most bang for the buck? And a built-in audience is sometimes comes into play.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of independent filmmakers and sometimes higher production companies that think that way, and they would rather cast somebody in their production that has the 10 million followers versus someone that only has 2K followers, because of that. But I've never looked at anybody's social media status and cast them based off of that. I never look at people's social media status when I'm casting or when I'm producing stuff. I cast the right person for the role, regardless of their race, gender, social media status.
Yeah.
Because there's always ways to make it work. And some people can surprise you. Like when we did, when I produced From Under the Bridge, me and Paul, the director, had a very clear vision of who we wanted to play Chester in the film. And then Taz came along and blew our minds away. And we're like, okay, this is not what we were envisioning at all, but he was the right person for the role.
Yeah.
And we cast him based off of that. And that's what I look at. So it's hard as an actor when you're getting all of this like pressure from people saying, you should be doing more in your social media, you should be making YouTube videos, you should be doing this and doing that to gain a following. But it's like, for one thing, I would be forcing myself to do those things. That's not going to make me happy. That's going to take up a lot of my time, my valuable time, where I could be actually in like training, like acting classes or reading books or like doing the actual work instead of like pretending to have this fake luxurious life.
Yeah, or
on Instagram.
Or I guess, or on the opposite route, sometimes taking the time to rest and ease thy mind and body is is a nice healthy option too.
It is, yeah, because we all need to
especially these days.
I know we all need to unplug every once in a while and take that time for ourselves, because I think society and people in general have become like these, I gotta work 24 hours, I gotta be busy 24 hours sort of mentality.
Yeah.
And I think the one good thing that came out of this pandemic was to tell people, slow the fuck down. Can I curse? I don't know
sure,
if I can curse.
Sure, go for it.
But I think that's what it really forced people to slow down, and a lot of people have I don't know, woken away like, oh wow, like I started communicating with family members or friends that I haven't talked to in a long time. I started hanging out with my family more, and like those sort of things became more important.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I know that I've talked to a lot of people that it's like not only talking with others, but communicating with yourself.
Yeah.
and listening to your thoughts and because a lot of people are finding this time to realize that they're going down a path they didn't want to go down, and now that they had this moment, they can pivot and make other decisions and kind of go from here and that stuff. So that is a silver lining to
what's happening. Yeah.
But okay, so as far as the social media stuff, so that's your perspective.
It's my perspective. Yeah.
And when you're in those rooms collaborating with others that are also decision makers in that process, does that often come up with other people that you have to kind of battle it out, or you? No. Okay, cool, nice.
Not normally.
That's
I mean,
nice.
The people I collaborate with are pretty much on the same mindset that I'm on, and I wouldn't want to collaborate with someone that wants this, Instagram, influencer to be a part of the film, just because they're an Instagram influencer. I'm always about hiring the right people for the job. And if this Instagram influencer ends up auditioning and they're the right person for the job, then they're the right person for the job.
Then it's a bonus.
But I'm not going to hire them based off of that status alone.
No, I think that's the right way to go with it.
Yeah. So when I get that pressure to do that as an actor, I very much push back. You know, in the beginning, when I had this management company, I was like, oh my God, okay, I need to take all these pictures, I need to do all this stuff. And you know, because you want to do whatever you can in order to get your foot in the door when you're an actor. But I started really, I don't know, tuning in with my feelings and how I felt about every single day trying to take these nice photos, and my friends around me and like my boyfriend just watching me do, like, on my phone constantly trying to like adhere to this social media platform. And I could see their faces, and I can feel what I'm feeling, and I'm like,
no, it's just torture.
It's torture. It's torture. And I can see that they're annoyed, and I'm getting annoyed and frustrated, and it's just not worth it at the end of the day. You have one life to live. Why are you going to be so consumed and frustrated every single day about your social media following and like taking all these pictures and these photos and whatever. And at the end of the day, it's like, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it's a tough balance for sure. Because I guess when I primarily see you on social media these days, it's normally not yourself that you're promoting. It's normally like because you produce projects that have received accolades and have gotten cool stuff, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
But like I know you, like for instance, we met on on Single, right? Was that our first?
We met on Single, but we're a part of the same film group, The Table, which is where I posted on The Table. I said I'm looking for.
Table is a super secret. It's not even a
super secret. Oh,
no, it's not a secret. The Table is was a thing that I was exposed to when I first moved to LA. It's like a nice collaborative film space.
Yes. Yeah.
You can meet other like-minded people and collaborate and support each other, and they have an email list, so that's where.
Right. When I first moved here as well, my friend Ryan got me into the group. He's like, "You're a very collaborative person. You should probably, go to the meeting and get on the email list," and then we all kind of help each other and support each other, which is great. But yeah, I sent an email saying I was looking for, production positions for my short film Single, and then you, I believe, chimed in to that. You contacted me through that.
I think you're asking because I was the script supervisor for that. So I think it was a specific ask. Either you had like roles in the email, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, that's how
that's how I got connected, and then we worked on Single.
So that one, of course, the big acceptance, the initial big boom was it got into South by Southwest Film Festival, which is a huge film festival.
Right.
And that was super cool.
I know.
Of course, it was among the first cancellations of the pandemic.
Right.
Which was a super bummer.
Right.
But stuff like that where it's like, all right, the announcement of the acceptance of the South by, all the production heads are posting their cool laureled images, and then of course like you are a part of that too, which is different than promoting yourself, which I think might be a separation how do you differentiate?
I mean, I promote myself when I'm doing something, right? I don't just like
going to the beach.
I don't just like, I mean, every once in a while I'll be like, a relaxing day at the beach, right? But I'll just take a picture of the water in the sand. Like, I won't be taking a picture of me in a bikini, right?
Yeah, the classic shot is the legs. I think you post
right,
your
the legs and, that's like the classic shot. I've maybe posted one or two of those types of photos.
We've all done it.
We've all done it. But I'm mainly on social media to help promote the projects that I have worked on or that I've been in or stuff like that. Like, once I have something that I want to promote or say, I do it. I'm not on social media every single day posting a selfie of myself just hanging out at home. whatever.
There's not much to say these days, I feel like. It's been a little bit tougher to brag about being at home still.
Yeah, it has been tougher, but like, or like I'll post, I just got a puppy. So like now I post, when I first got the puppy, I was really excited. So I was like posting pictures with a puppy all the time now.
I've been seeing that a lot. A lot of people are getting puppies, holiday puppies, pre-holiday puppies, and they're always the most cutest things in the world.
They're really cute.
And annoying. It's well, I guess for me specifically, it's almost like baby photos, where it's like, all right, I enjoyed the first one.
Right.
Super cute.
Right.
I'm very happy for you. And then 10 more come out and it's like, all right, I get that.
Right. Yeah. I'm not that.
No, I know.
I'm not that active about it. I hate it when parents like open up an Instagram account for their babies or their dogs or whatever, and I'm just like, no, please no, just don't do that.
Don't do that.
Just don't do it.
So you got a dog.
I got a dog.
I don't know. We're going all over the place here.
Going all over the place.
Let's talk about the dog really quick. So, what was the inspiration? How did that happen?
I grew up with dogs my entire life, and I've always wanted to own my own dog. And even before like the pandemic even hit, because a lot of people started adopting pets and dogs because they were home alone, especially people that are single, wanted a companion. So a lot of pets got adopted, and I'm kind of a little afraid though when they go back to work they're gonna like not want their pets anymore. But I wanted a dog before the world kind of shut down.
You when was the last time you had a dog yourself? Like,
I've never owned a dog on my own. My parents have always kind of had the dogs. My dad, for instance, has always had dogs, always, and still does. He has 2 right now. He used to have 3. So I've always, like, whenever I see my dad, I'm, interacting with dogs. My mom owned a cat. I think we owned a dog for like a year when I was younger with my mom. But my dad mainly had like the dogs.
Yeah, but when you made the jump to LA.
Right.
I'm assuming kind of like I grew up, we had a family dog too, but like moving to Los Angeles, I kind of knew the intention is to be really busy all the time. Having a dog is not optimal, especially with the hustle, with the initial start to the foundation building.
Right.
So, okay, so but in the back of your mind, you've always wanted one, or you've liked the idea of having one, and then now it's kind of opened up.
I've always kind of wanted to eventually, start, I guess, building my family.
Sure. Air quotes.
Air quotes. Family. And I guess, since moving to LA, I've, established a good relationship with somebody, and we decided to move forward and get a dog recently because we were looking for a while before the pandemic even hit.
Okay.
And we were taking our time because we really wanted to make sure we had the right dog. We didn't want to just like pick the
first dog you saw.
Right, exactly. And we wanted to make sure it was a puppy. We didn't want it to be too old where it's been living in a kennel for like 2 years, because unfortunately a lot of dogs have behavioral issues when they're living in kennels for a few years. So we wanted something that was a puppy that, we can train and we can really, grow together. So I guess that's kind of like the initial thing. And I realized, yes, I'm busy, but I'm also at home a lot too. Even before the pandemic, I work from home a lot. So it was like, I do have the time to commit to a puppy, to commit to a dog. Yeah. Every once in a while, I will need to get babysitters and dog walkers and stuff like that, which is gonna happen. It did happen like right when we got our puppy. We had like, me and my boyfriend had a job that we had to do for like 3 days, and we had to literally get someone to take care of the dog for us. But it doesn't happen very often. So it's like, all right, I do have the time, and I can make the time too.
And when you mention you air quoted starting a family. I saw a post recently. Somebody shared on their story. It's one of those weird. I don't know. They were saying the message of the story was there's a stigma of thinking you need to have kids or to start a family, but they're like, you know what, just a two-person household, or that's starting a family right there.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you air quoted because the dog is an extension of
Yeah, he's an extension. I consider him a family member that just came into our lives.
No, for sure,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, I never really considered that starting a family normally means, we're thinking about having kids, or but you could technically start a family without that, which is interesting.
Right. I think establishing a good relationship with somebody and someone that you want to live with and maybe spend the rest of your life with. You're not necessarily married yet, but
that's family.
You're starting your family. Like he or she is becoming a member of your family, and like you get a dog, they're becoming a member of your family, sort of thing. So yeah.
So any what's been the highlight of the dog adventure, the dog mom phase?
The dog mom phase.
Not that it's a phase, but
yeah,
it's an era. I'll call it the era.
I would say it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work because you have to make sure that you're walking the dog, feeding the dog, getting the dog medicine.
What kind of dog is it? Yeah, I think you said.
He's a mix. He's like a terrier. They said he's between a terrier and a boxer. But we're not too sure.
That's like a medium size, full grown?
He'll be medium size. So he's about 20 pounds right now.
That's big.
We got him when he was 10 pounds. So he's already gained 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So he'll probably gain maybe about 5 or 10 more. He won't be more than 30 pounds.
All right. Yeah. Nice.
Nice medium size. I didn't want a purse dog. No offense to people that own purse dogs, but that's just not me. And then I grew up with huge dogs. And I just, living in an apartment and living in LA, I didn't want to, if I don't have like a backyard or like, acres of land for my dog to run around in, I don't want to get a big, huge dog.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted something like a medium size type of dog. So yeah, Cooper came into our lives, and it's been a joy. It really forces me in a way to stop work and pay attention to something else. And there's a lot of funny moments that happen, of course, with the puppy. He does really funny things and silly things, and I'm training him. I just trained him how to sit and how to do a high five and how to do a shake and how to lay down and
the classics.
Yeah, the classics. And I'm trying to teach him some more, but it's a lot of fun, and it kind of brings me out of my other like work mode elements, which I kind of like, especially in my relationship too, because I'm in a relationship with another filmmaker, and so sometimes I feel like our relationship is just like consumed with filmmaking. And now that we have this other family member in our lives, it's kind of very much evened out.
Yeah,
a lot, because it's like, yeah, we have filmmaking, but we have a dog too, and so it's kind of like, it's evened more things out.
Yeah, it sounds like work mode and almost. I'm thinking of it as play mode, where it's like, all right.
Right.
Ideally, it's a nice change of pace where it's.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's nice.
As far as training goes, I know set dogs can be a thing. Is Cooper one that might be able to go with you to set?
I don't think so right now. I think he needs a lot more training. We're starting obedient training for him tomorrow, actually. Cooper gets very distracted with a lot of things.
Well, he's still a baby.
He's still a baby. He still wants to every single thing, every single person or dog or cat or bird He just wants to chase after them. Mm-hmm. So having him on set right now is probably not a good idea.
He'd cause a ruckus.
It would be really hard for me to concentrate on what I'm doing if I'm trying to like pay attention to my dog. But I'm hoping eventually I could bring him to those certain situations and he can just kind of chill and relax.
I mean, I've been on plenty of sets where there's like 4 or 5 set dogs around, and I'm like, dang, right. And they all do very well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I never really thought about, do they have to turn in some sort of paperwork that says they have training, or they just like, yeah, just bring your dog. Like, I don't know how it works. But,
I mean, for the dogs that are probably doing like on camera work,
no, just hang out like in
but
the PO.
Hanging out, like I don't think I've ever. I think I may have been on like one production where that happened, just because we're filming in the filmmaker's house and he had a dog, sort of thing situation.
Yeah. I feel like it's a bigger show. I don't know. Like
do they have someone like looking after the dogs, like a babysitter?
Like, for instance, my first big feature film before I moved to LA was called The Mustang, and that was out in Carson City, and that was like a 3-month deal.
Okay.
So some people in the production office
had their dogs.
I think they're just used to being on location for a long time, and they just have like this dog that's already been trained on multiple productions, and we're on location of this prison too, so it's already like gated area.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole ranch field and all this kind of stuff, so the dogs just hang out
and run around all day.
Yeah, hang out, and but for the most part they stay close to the owner, and then whatever. But
yeah, I mean, if Cooper eventually can kind of get trained, or eventually his attitude gets that way, that'd be nice. It would be nice to have Cooper on set while I'm doing stuff. But at the same time, I feel like I might not want to bring him on certain sets because I really want to focus on what I'm doing, and I don't want to have to like
that distraction there.
The distraction of it, especially right now, because since he's a puppy, he's eating everything.
There's got to be a PA or something around that'll be down to handle that for you.
Be like, this is your job today. You're gonna babysit the dog.
And they'll be like, yes,
I'm
please.
sure they would love to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hope maybe eventually in the next couple of years, maybe something like that. But I think he needs to
chill out.
He needs to chill out. Once he becomes like that chill older dog, I can see that. But I think, right now he's too.
Because our family dog, shout out to Buddy, who's no longer with us, but he took forever to chill out. He was like maybe like 7 or 8 by the time he was like mellow, but before that, always going crazy.
Always running around. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So we were talking about South by Southwest.
Oh, yeah.
Briefly.
Yes.
And social media. Okay. There's a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about, and of course, help me remember to come back to topics too, because I line stuff out and then I forget to come back to them.
Sure.
But I want to talk about festivals.
Okay.
And what your opinion is of them, and then what they do for certain projects, and what they've done for the filmmakers attached to them, or like that kind of route. Let's start with that. Film festivals, and then I know that you have your own festival that you run. So.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I think film festivals are great for filmmakers just to get their work seen. Mm-hmm. To a general public that would probably never see their work. Like if they just like posted it on Amazon or iTunes or whatever, or YouTube, those people might not necessarily see the work. I think film festivals kind of force independent filmmakers or filmmakers in general to watch other people's work, and puts them more in like that kind of spotlight. Some film festivals are great, and they do great PR and marketing, and they try to help promote your film, and winning awards at good top film festivals like South by. We won a jury award.
Cheers.
Special jury award, yeah. That helps a lot for the filmmakers, but I find that it mainly helps the writer-directors. If it's a writer-director on a film.
No, not producer?
Not so much. I think as a producer, and it helps actors too, of course. Like the lead.
Mainly the faces you see, the main creative
and the main person that wrote or directed the film, I see get the bigger benefit. As a producer, I get a bigger benefit when I'm actually at the festival and I'm networking and I'm promoting our film and I'm meeting other people and I'm letting them know that I'm a producer and I've produced this award-winning film and that kind of stuff. As a producer, I need to be on the ground. I need to be networking. I need to be in contact with people. So that's a big difference. So like with Single, Ashley, the writer-director, has had so many people.
Ashley Aiken?
Aiken. I think it's Aiken. I'll have to.
You should know these things.
She had tons of people reach out to her after South by, and she's gotten opportunities, and I think she's writing she got hired to write a series or another movie for somebody.
Dang. I gotta get Ashley on the podcast.
Right, you should. She's still in Canada right now, but hopefully she'll be back soon. But yeah, like I've heard and seen really great things happen with her because of the film and because it's been in a lot of film festivals and stuff like that. And some of my friends and family and filmmaking buddies have reached out to me and said they saw Single and it was really good and I should be proud of it. And I'm like, thanks. But I haven't had a management company or someone or another filmmaker reach out to me and say, hey, I saw you produce this film. Yeah. Would you be interested in producing my film, sort of thing?
That feels like that should be a thing that's happening because I don't know. As let's say, the people that are reaching out to Ashley are already producers, I'm assuming, and they're putting stuff together.
Right. They're putting stuff together and they need a writer or director attached to it, or it's a production company that's looking for new directors. And
so that's probably what the people that reach out are the people with the control of knowing what's already going on. So a producer's also a producer's not going to reach out to another producer and be like, hey, you want to co-produce, which I think that could be a thing. Yeah, that should be a thing.
We do that every once in a while. Yeah. But yeah, for me it's like I need the directors and the creators and the writers contacting me, or production companies contacting me saying,
for sure,
we want you to.
Because me watching Single, it's like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I have an idea and I have some potential places I can get money. Let me reach out and see if I can get, how do they put this to, the nuts and bolts. Get the person who helped make the thing so you can make a thing just as good. Exactly.
Yeah. You would think that it would all kind of help everybody, right? That made the production. You think that multiple people would be reaching out to multiple people that worked on the film, but I feel like in my experience, it's mainly the writer/director that usually gets.
And I do want to preface, Single we shot in 2019.
2019.
And it was accepted into South by 2020, which then got canceled. Correct. Or semi-canceled. Well, the in-person got canceled.
The in-person got canceled and moved to online.
Yeah. So if that hadn't have happened, a lot. You would have had an opportunity to have that in-person networking, but because that's being stripped away as of
Right.
still,
Right.
I don't know any film festivals. Like I know back in Reno, there's like one main film festival up there, and they did like a half online, half like drive-in
Oh yeah. Yeah.
experience, and I'm like, I don't know how that went,
Yeah.
but it is difficult
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, and some film festivals are trying to do like Zoom breakout meetings where
Have you tried those?
filmmakers. Huh?
Have you tried those?
I've tried them, but they're hard because they're time limited too. There's like we're gonna do a Zoom breakout meeting for an hour, and everybody's just gonna go around in a circle and talk about their film and their experience really quickly, and then that's it. You can't really and then it's up to you, of course, to then reach out to, I guess, individuals that you want to talk more with.
Yeah.
But it's just
It's not the
different.
same.
It's not the same because it's and I find like yes, I've gotten invited to all of these online film festivals, but it's hard for me to sit down in my living room and watch independent films. Like I love the experience of going to the theater and seeing it on the bigger screen and interacting with the filmmaker afterwards at a networking party. Or I go with the filmmaker to see their film and then we chat about it afterwards. Like that entire experience is just like gone. So I was so excited when we got accepted to South by. I was like, oh my God, this might be like best career thing opportunity that might happen for me because it's like I'm gonna hit the ground running there. I'm gonna talk to people. I'm gonna network. I'm gonna do all this stuff, and we won an award, which is like if there was an award ceremony, that would have been a whole other thing. But then it got switched online, and none of that was really an option or available to me.
It's an all too common story of 2020 for sure.
Yeah.
Because like I even had a music artist talker on, and she was gonna play. Because I guess I didn't know that South by also has like a music experience.
Oh, yeah, they do music, film, and I think tech.
I don't know.
It's a big conference.
Yeah. So for her, it wasn't even they couldn't go move it to online. It's just all scrapped.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, but all right. So so I just want to clarify that your opinions are based primarily off of the COVID festival run experience.
Well, I mean, there's two different types of things. So because of COVID, now all festivals are mainly virtual. And I feel like that can help the writer-director, right, attach to the script because they're still getting
They're still getting notoriety and people still
getting
care.
their film out there. People are still viewing it. It has opened up more globally. So, like, people that couldn't travel to the film festival are now watching these films, right, because it's online. It's more convenient.
Sure.
But for the normal, everyday kind of producer, filmmaker that mainly gets projects and opportunities based off of networking, which I feel like is what's great about film festivals is the networking aspect of it. You get to go to the theater, you get to see the film, the filmmaker's right next to you, you get to hear a Q&A about how they made the film, you get to connect with that filmmaker, and then like that filmmaker brings you on this project, or you bring them on this project, or whatever. That has been completely lost with the pandemic, unfortunately.
Yep.
But that's what I think is great about film festivals.
Okay.
Is the networking aspect of it and getting your film seen.
Yes. Because single is still being submitted and accepted into film festivals now, right? Like it extends the legs too, which is interesting of relevance.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you make a film, expect like your first year or two is just once you have your film done, is going to be festivals. Just all going to be festivals.
So assuming, because the thing Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
costs
then-
money. That costs money, people.
It does cost money. Costs money to submit, and then if you travel to the film festival, it costs money. There are some film festivals that will fly you or
Some
put
stipends,
you up, or
yeah.
some stipends that are involved. Not a lot of them have that. More established ones have that, but not a lot. So that's great, but it's a lot of traveling, which can get
That's
you can get very
expensive.
burnt out and exhausted. But again, that is what's great about the festivals, that you're traveling to a new place. You get to travel for one thing. You get to see a new place. You get to meet new people that you've never would ever encounter if you weren't at this film festival. Yeah. So, and if your film is doing really good, you'll probably be in the film festival circuit for a good year or two, maybe even 3 years. Depending, until you decide to either contact a distribution company and have the distribution company distribute your film, or distribute it yourself on, like, iTunes and Amazon Prime and all those different platforms. Yeah.
Whoa.
So when you make a film,
It's a commitment.
it's a commitment, especially as a producer as well, because you're with the film from the beginning to the middle to the end. Because you're still helping facilitate those film festival submissions, those distribution deals, all of that. So when I produce something, I have to make sure that I'm super passionate about the project that I'm producing, because it is going to literally live in my life for a good 5-7 years.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I just, I don't know. Festivals is like you're stating, it's work, and especially in this COVID, like it was already kind of, there's so many festivals out there that's like, all right, which ones matter, which ones are going to get actual eyeballs on it, because sometimes you get accepted into one, even pre-COVID, where they were doing online screenings before, because they don't have an actual venue, and you're like, all right, do you have an audience for people to see?
Right.
You're giving me an award. Who cares about this award? Like, it's weird to balance where to send it, and how to leverage the acceptance, and which ones do I travel to, and
and your world premiere is a big deal too. It's like, which one do I world premiere at?
South by.
or Sundance or Cannes.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a filmmaker, you have to don't just submit to any film festival. Like, do your research. Submit to the ones that have that audience, have that high class status, have that status that's gonna help you as a filmmaker. Submit to those. If you don't get any in any of those, then drop the tier down to like the B-level film festivals, and then go to the C-level film festivals. Do whatever you have to do, or just distribute it online and try to market your film through there. But yeah, because I do see filmmakers that, I was at this festival and this festival and this festival, and they're like tiny itty bitty film festivals in North Carolina, and like one little tiny theater, and it's like 10 people went. Right? But I have some filmmaker friends who just made a film with Mel Gibson, and their film way back in the day was at a film festival, a little itty bitty tiny film festival that they got into, and they decided to go to the festival. And at that festival, they met someone that literally gave them money to write a feature film. So they got an opportunity. So sometimes it's like, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. Even just at a little tiny film festival that really doesn't matter, right? You might potentially meet somebody there that
100%. I mean, that's kind of, that is the, in the end, that's always the case. Even best case scenarios of, oh my gosh, we got into South by, you never know. The world could shut down. Like that whole... So it goes both ways, which is interesting. So to transition that into when you decided to
start
your own festival, or can you go into
Well, so I
how
work.
that,
I kind of never really wanted to run a film festival, to be honest. Like, I enjoy film festivals. I volunteered at the CineQuest Film Festival in San Jose for many years and did a red carpet interviewing and media stuff for them for a very long time before, like, I started, like, enjoying film festivals as a filmmaker. But I started working for a company in San Francisco called Charming Stranger Films, and every year we bring on students from Bennington College, which is the owner of the company went to Bennington College. And she brings on 2 interns, filmmaking interns, a year. And we teach them and train them how to direct and write and concept and make their own film. And at the end of their internship, they have a mini short film that they've created that we've helped them develop. And 2 or 3 years ago, we were trying to come up with more engaging things that we can do with our interns. And so we came up with the concept of running our own film festival. So we started off with, short films. Let's just do a one-day film festival, short films where it's for women and non-binary filmmakers, because my boss is very adamant about women filmmaking and helping women.
Helping spotlight.
Right.
Yeah. And what's the name of the festival?
Coven Film Festival. So yeah, it started off as this kind of like mini short film festival, just to kind of like have our interns better understand the film festival circuit and how that works as a filmmaker. And then it was like we invited a lot of our filmmaking friends to submit to the festival, and then we rented out a theater in San Francisco and like hosted this one day kind of event and had like one little speaker event sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know it was going to happen, but it kind of blew up. And a lot of the filmmakers and a lot of the people in San Francisco were like, please continue this film festival. We need this right now, because it's a very specific film festival for women and non-binary filmmakers. And so we're like, oh, okay. I guess we're running a film festival now. So the second year we had, right before the pandemic hit, we had that in January 2020. That was our second year. We decided to include not only short films but feature films as well. And we had a lot more like speaker panels that we had about like distribution, and we had Karen Allen come and speak and do a workshop on directing actors, and she showed her short film. You know who Karen Allen is, right?
No. Sorry.
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Nope.
Okay. She's a well-known actress from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Indiana Jones.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
She's done a lot of other things.
So she directs and makes stuff too?
She started directing and writing and making films now.
Cool.
And I think she was nominated for a Spirit Award last year as well. So yeah, we had her come down because we had connections to her, and so we approached her, and she was just like, yeah, I would love to. So she came down and did this speaker panel event. So yeah, it's great. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But
yeah, get it. Like what? Okay, from the way I imagine it going is because, all right, you need people to watch the stuff.
Right. That's the hardest part.
That's hardest as in time intensive, or like
time intensive
picking and choosing the best ones, or
yeah, I think it's all right. It took a good 6 to 8 months just to plan a 3-day film festival. Because you have to get...
Sounds like a wedding.
It's intense. You have to market the submissions, get the submissions, right? put up a website, put up a Film Freeway account for people to submit, figure out the venue, and then you have to figure out the speaker panel events that are going to be happening, the parties that are going to be happening, find the venues for those parties, find the sponsors that can then sponsor the money for those parties, because it's like film festivals cost a lot of money to run. And
is it still a 1 day? Like the second time was a 1 day as well,
no, so
or
the
was
second
it
time was a 3-day.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, it was a 3-day event.
How much, if we may, what year 1 costs versus year 2 costs on that
year
growth?
2 cost a lot more because
More days, more
it's
people.
more days, more people, more events, more parties, more venues, those sorts of things. And we didn't really have a big sponsor that came in and gave us, grands of money to do it. We kind of all of the money that we made on submissions and ticket sales were pretty much like our revenue.
Oh, dang.
We didn't have like a big sponsorship to sponsor it. So I would say the first year was, I think, around like $50K just to do a 1-day event with short films, because we also did fly the filmmakers out and put them up in hotels.
Oh, nice.
Which was insane to do for your first year.
That's
as a filmmaker.
Well, you're going big the first year because you didn't know there's going to be an ongoing experience. So you're like, let's just do it.
We thought it was like a one-time sort of thing,
and now they're all expecting it. They're like, is my flight booked? You're like, actually.
Correct. And so now the second year, it's like, well, okay, we flew out our filmmakers the first year. We have to keep up their reputation and do it again. So that was a big hurdle, big expense, but we also hired a marketing company for us the second year to hopefully get a bigger sponsorship to pay for all of that type of stuff. And unfortunately, we hired the PR company, I think, a little too late in the running, and we ended up not getting a huge sponsorship to kind of take care of it. So yeah, the second year was, more like 80, 90 grand just to do.
It's cheaper than I was expecting.
A film festival.
I was like 1 day at 50, 3 days, 200. It's kind of more of, I expected to jump like that, but you made it work.
We made it work. Plus the venue that we booked for the second year was different from the venue from the first year. So we saved some money on that. A lot of people were throwing in more favors for us since it was like the second year. They were giving us free stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of work. And then it's like going through all of the films and picking the films, and then you have to categorize the film. Like the ones that you do pick, you have to categorize them in like themes and sections. And you have your midnight films, and then you have your student films or your animation films or
because I know some film festivals on like Film Freeway, for instance, have you can kind of categorize it yourself as you submit, where it's shorts that are like under 10 minutes and comedy, horror, and you can kind of But is yours more of like a general short film, and then you split it up? How you guys?
Correct. So in the beginning, it was just like short films, any type of short film to submit. It's still like that right now, but it's any type of short film, any type of feature film. So for us, it's like we have to watch all the films. We have to select the ones that we like, but then we also then have to take them and categorize them and go, okay, does this film work within like
do you have
this theme or
do you have your categories ahead of time where you want to do a certain block or so I imagine it's like, all right, this year we're going to have a block based on women protagonists action, and then as you're watching you're like, well, all right, sweet, we have 5 we can put into there, let's do that. Like, or if it's reverse engineered, where you base it off of what you actually got, and then you
so we definitely reverse engineer our stuff because we don't want to limit filmmakers to certain categories that we've created. So we see what we get in, and then from there, if we see like a constant theme, then we start concepting our categories. And now, because of the pandemic, there was no way for us to plan our film festival.
Yeah, not in California.
In February. So we decided to move everything online, but we decided to do a quarterly film festival. So every quarter, we will do a 3-day online film festival to show the films and have at least one panel speaker event online. And then at the end of the year, each quarter has their own audience awards, and then at the end of the year, we pick the best short film and feature film.
Sweet.
For the year, sort of thing.
For sure. Cool.
So, and hopefully we'll get back to an in-person festival, but I have a funny feeling we might do a mix, a hybrid, because I think a lot of film festivals are realizing that doing stuff online is a lot cheaper for the festival organizers. Yeah. And you know, you don't need to spend 6 months, 8 months out of the year organizing when you have an online type of platform. So we will probably move into more of a hybrid type of thing if we start doing in-person
But I mean,
festivals.
you are a person that definitely sees the benefits of the in-person experience, which I guess would prevent it from staying virtual, I guess, is probably where that kind of goes in. Any highlight moments, or I'm thinking about what it feels like to put it on. Like you mentioned, you mentioned it's a lot of work, but then you're there and you're seeing the kind of words from the filmmakers that greatly appreciate it and appreciate the spotlight. And I'm sure you keep in touch with some of them, and just seeing people grow and change, and they were a part of that. So
that aspect of running the festival, being the producer and the co-founder of the festival was great. Like, you know, I gave people opportunities that they never had before. Like, they've never seen their film like on a big screen. My interns had like a great experience doing it, and they met a lot of people. I met a lot of people. The whole reason why I know Ashley and became a producer on Single is because of my film festival, because I met one of the filmmakers, and then she referred me to Ashley. So it's like that opportunity came up for me. I met Karen Allen, which is great. Like, a lot of great, wonderful things have come out of, you know, running my own kind of festival. Yeah, because I run it with other people, but I'm a part of it.
It's not a solo venture.
But yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling to be able to support people in their work.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. I'm looking at my list.
Oh, your list.
All right. Okay. Well, we talked about Single. The latest project that you produced that I was a part of was From Under the Bridge, which I had the director on last week, Paul James Houghton. That's how we introduced him. He was happy with his last name being included.
Okay.
I'm wearing the shirt, actually, From Under the Bridge.
Yes.
#Stop Bullying. So
I designed that logo. I designed it.
Nice. I heard a lot of time went into that.
Yeah. That was a hassle.
Yeah.
Because Paul put up like this Fiverr competition for designers, and I think I was like on vacation at the time or something that he put it up, and the designs just didn't come back the way he wanted them to. I'm like, why don't you let me try something? And I did, and it was just like,
it's like nailed it.
This is it. I'm like, okay.
Dang, cool. Yeah, because we talked a lot about we talked a lot about the production side too, with the prep for it and getting locations and the 2 days turning into 4 days and that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I don't So from your perspective, so the thing that I like about From Under the Bridge that I gave him credit on, and I'm not sure on the producer side how much is coming from you, how much is coming from him or whatever, but I really like the rollout of the PR campaign on it.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm like, sweet, you guys have the merch, you
Right.
guys are doing, t-shirts and the face masks, and
Yeah.
you've got the full on, of course you got like the website and getting blurbs from different Hollywood industry people and A-list actors, and like kind of the hype train works really well. And we talked about the Megan Meyer Foundation.
Yes.
And collaborating with them and having that partnership is really cool.
Right.
So I'm like, dang, this is how, because I've seen this with Single too, where like
Right.
I'm like, cool, this is how you do a short film. This is a big experience. It's not just a throwaway short that you're making. This is a commitment short.
Right.
So how do you how?
Well, I think with short films, you have to you have to have a good marketing and PR around it because it's a short film. And I think with any film, you should really, even if it's a feature film, you should really think about your marketing and your PR and save a chunk of your budget for that. Because that's how you're going to get exposed. That's how you're going to get your film out there to a bigger audience member.
I guess as far as let's talk about this film specifically on what excites you about this one.
Well, did Paul tell you our story how we met?
I know you and I think I've heard it, but
Okay.
The people at home listening are unfamiliar.
Well, what first excited me about this film was I saw a post on a filmmaking Facebook forum about this film about, anti-bullying and cyberbullying and stuff like that. And I personally have been bullied when I was younger. And I can just imagine, like, I luckily didn't, when I was younger, I didn't grow up in the era of social media. And so I can just imagine what kids are going through today with the bullying and the social media aspect on top of that. It's rough.
It's got to be rough.
It's really rough. So when I saw the post about the project, I think he was posting, don't remember exactly what the post was, but I think it was just an initial like, hey, I'm making this project sort of thing. Casting has begun, sort of. And at the time, I just recently got certified as a COVID officer to work on sets as a COVID officer to help people, stay safe and during this weird time. And I was like, I kind of want to get back on set. This is my way to kind of transition. Plus, I'm a producer, so I should know this knowledge anyways. So I took a lot of classes and training and got a certification. So I initially reached out to Paul and I was like, well, hey, if you need a COVID officer, like, I just got certified because I literally got certified like the day before. Completed all my training and my tests and stuff like that. And then Paul, I think, contacted me a couple weeks later, pinged me on Facebook and was like, hey, I want to talk to you about my film. I was like, sure. And we set up a time. And I was thinking, oh, he probably wants to talk about me being a COVID officer. And apparently, Paul, dived deep into my portfolio, went to my website, dived deep into my IMDb, and was just like, who are you? I have to know you. I have to work with you, like, sort of mentality. Because he saw that I do a lot of stuff. Like, I do producing, I do acting, I run a film festival, I do internship program, like, I do all this stuff. And it was weird. We had like an hour and a half long conversation, and it was like, it felt like I was talking to an old friend I hadn't talked to in like a long time. And there was just a connection there. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And Paul at the time had someone that kind of wanted to produce and help him with the film, but he was a little hesitant on going forward with that person because they weren't here locally in the Los Angeles area they were in a different state, and he's like, I kind of need someone like here on the ground doing the producing. And so after our conversation, Paul took a couple of days to think about how he wanted to work with me, and then he came back and said, hey, do you want to produce this? And I was like, I'd be happy to produce this film. So yeah, it was exciting because I am the type of filmmaker where I like to work on films that have a very meaningful, passionate message to say, and that's gonna help people in the world and educate people, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And I also like my fun films too. Like,
sure.
I like my sci-fi, fantasy, fun films that also have powerful messages at the end, but are fun to do. But yeah, and so I started meeting up with Paul in person, and we started just collaborating and talking about the film, and just like getting the locations, getting casting was a big thing. We looked at like thousands of
he mentioned
different
it was
actors.
a point. It was a point to watch everything and everyone because kind of like how you mentioned with the Chester character that we don't know until like somebody could come out of the woodwork that we're not expecting. Let's do our due diligence.
Exactly.
And dedicate that time.
Yeah, so it took a good 2 months, I think about a good 2 months to cast the film, because every single person that submitted, we looked at all of their headshots, their resume, their demo reels, and then the ones that we thought would be a good fit to audition, we put them in the audition pool. And then everybody that auditioned, we looked at all of the tapes to the beginning and the end. And I came up with this idea when we were initially sending out the audition notices. I said, hey, Paul, why don't we ask if they're comfortable, if the actors are comfortable with telling us their bully story, if they have a bully story, or if they've seen somebody get bullied and what they've done, just to kind of get a better understanding where these actors have maybe come from, or these people have maybe come from. So we watched the auditions from beginning to the end, because the end is where they told their story also. And that was powerful. And then Paul took that and made like a teaser trailer of all of these different actors that auditioned for us that had these bully stories. And it was amazing to see that almost everybody that at least did a story at the end of their audition were either bullied, saw someone get bullied, or were bullied themselves and now like regret it. So it was like, really, I'm like crying. It was like it was like really powerful, and it was intense.
It's a great idea.
And that just like got me more excited about making the project. And it wasn't until like later on that I knew about the investors involved in the project, and how we had some high-level investors and stuff like that. They're at a higher status in the film career, and I was like, oh, like I was very surprised about that.
You're like, oh, I actually have to try now.
Well, I always give 125% on everything. But it did put me in kind of a place where it was like, okay, holy crap. Like, I have to make sure that this film comes out fucking good. Because I have, like, all these people eyeballs on it, right? So in a way, like, I work really hard in general, but I think in a way it just, like, made me work even more harder, and I became even more, like, invested, and I was just, like, hands-on everything at that point. Like, I was like, I need to be hands-on on the design, I need to be hands-on on the story, the casting, the locations. Like, I need to show my creative voice in here too. And Paul was, like, so for it. Like, Paul and I jammed really well creatively on different things. And yeah, I did tell Paul. He knows. I told Paul that this is a 4-day film, not a 2-day film. I did say that in the beginning, but he was very adamant about, the budget and the time constraints, and he needed to get it done within 2 days because of budget and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, it's a 20-page script in 2 days. That's gonna be really hard to do.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit with
Right.
With his transition into the director chair and kind
Right.
of the things he learned through the process of, all right, what we didn't specifically talk about it, but
Right.
the pacing of filming and what it's actually like is it's hard to grasp
Exactly.
unless you've done it many times before to really
Right.
have a good understanding.
Right, and I think that was a thing with Paul, is that he didn't have that timing understanding that 1 day is only like 3 or 5 pages of your script of filming, and setup and moving, and that takes a lot of time. We didn't have a whole lot of locations. We had like 3 locations overall, but within those locations, like the house, we had this room and then that room and then this room and then the backyard and then the front yard, and it was just kind of like learning that those are actually different locations. You have to consider it as different locations.
We did some company moves, I think, like
Right.
every day almost, with
almost every day.
with bar to outside park to
Correct.
inside,
and we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to get all of the locations within like a mile,
like a walking distance,
like sometimes a walking distance, sometimes just a mile away, which was amazing. Like the mayor of Seal Beach opened up their filming permits to us on the weekends, because apparently you can't film on the weekends in Seal Beach. It's like one of their things, and they decided to waive that for us because of our story, because we're doing a film about anti-bullying and it was a powerful message. And then the bar ended up like opening up their location to us, and that was the same bar that American Sniper was filmed at, which is really cool. And then someone just opened up their home to us and said, yes, film here. So it's like we had a lot of people were supporting it. I think that was very exciting about the entire production, is that because of our message and our overall story, a lot of people like connected with it, and they're like, I want to help you. Whatever I can do to help, let me help you. And people just started opening up their doors for us, which was really exciting.
Yeah, bullying or anti-bullying is a hard lesson. It's a hard cause not to get behind. It's like, well,
yeah.
Well,
true.
I mean, it's of course.
Yeah.
The individuals involved telling the story is a very pivotal part of it, and I'm sure the mayor hearing Paul, or I don't know who did the initial pitch, but hearing from
Paul did the pitch.
From the source is very helpful. But it's not a thing with like, oh, bullying, it's like it's not a problem. Everybody knows bullying.
I also think it's because I think everybody in the world has dealt with bullying in some aspect in their lives.
Yeah, bullying is it's a crazy thing, because I mean it can go. It's a spectrum.
Right. Right.
It can be very minor to life. So
exactly.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bullying has many faces too, So.
Yeah, one thing Paul and I talked about last week, as far as bullying, was, I guess, I don't know, it's not really the biggest deal, but I was curious about, because even you mentioned it, like as kids we've all been bullied, we've seen stuff. We've either been bullies, and even like the message of kind of from under the bridge is even bullies are getting that energy from some other place. So it's like a continuum of bullying up a line.
It's a water effect
through history.
Right.
So I'm curious a little bit about like the adult version of bullying. Because you mentioned like growing up, like kids, when we think about bullying, we think about school, we think
Right.
about being in high school, middle school, elementary school, and getting bullied. But
Right.
it kind of, in a way, never goes away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I was thinking about it, I was having a hard time of visualizing what adult bullying looks like.
I think adult bullying is more like intimidation. Like if someone's really like
power moves.
Power, yeah. Like when I used to work at a company a long time ago, and I did like telemarketing stuff, and my manager was this power hungry guy, and he just like fed off of that, right? He fed off of like going to people's desks and just yelling at them for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's bullying.
That's bullying, yeah.
As an adult, putting people down, telling them, unfortunately, there's a lot of people in unhealthy relationships. When a guy or a girl is verbally putting them down or even abusing them in a way, that is a bully. Our president is a bully.
Let's see, by the time this comes out,
right,
that actually will not be the case.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he's definitely like, we have a new president, but getting him out of the White House is going to be.
I thought you were trying to say that he might still be. All right, anyway.
Anyways, you don't have to put that in your segment.
No, it can stay.
But, yeah, so that is my vision of like,
how
adult bullying
what have you, I mean, this is kind of more of a personal question,
right?
But growing up, learning from experience of being bullied, how is that, what do you take from it in your adult life? Like, how do you respond to situations like that, or what can others,
what I've taken from it is, I mean, I feel like because of my experience getting bullied when I was younger, I don't judge people. Anybody that I meet, I don't judge them. I don't put them down for any reason. I'm not just mean to be mean, sort of thing. And when I see other people, like, my whole thing is like, I've also been in customer service a lot when I was in my 20s. I did a lot of retail customer service, and it was really hard when you're a customer service person and someone calls or comes to your store and they're automatically like upset and they're yelling at you about something that is not even personally my fault.
Yeah,
right?
And in the grand scheme, it's not even a big deal.
In the grand scheme, it's not really a big deal. It's not the end of the world.
Easy fix.
Sort of thing. I can easily fix this sort of thing. So going through that experience and my bullying experience, that to me is kind of bullying in a way, because it's like, like, you don't need to be rude and like that. So when I've seen my friends or even my boyfriend like call a customer care service person, or they're talking to a waitress or something like that, and they give like this attitude, right? This like kind of snake in a way, like attitude. I'm always like telling the person, like, calm down. It is not their fault that the cook.
Yeah, let's think about this.
You know what? Like don't yell at them. It's not their fault. Like, you can calmly assess the matter and respect that individual. People make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Mistakes are going to happen. You've made mistakes in your life. I've made mistakes in my life.
Not me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like I see that stuff more.
I also,
and I try to like
I also feel like
Stop.
like pursuing a creative field like acting also helps put yourself in other shoes a little easier with, all right, there's this unlocking of the brain that happens where you're a little bit more aware of what's going on and what the intricacies of what decisions are being made and why they're being made, that you're kind of in the moment a little bit better. That I kind of take for granted as a filmmaker sometimes, where I'm like, why don't you all see what's going on here? It's very clear. I mean, that's kind of what I do as a job as a script supervisor too. I'm kind of like watching specific moments and making sure it all meshes and whatnot. So I do it in reality by default, where a lot of people don't have the training that they've put on themselves to understand others. One thing that I was thinking about with bullying was sometimes people don't realize that they are bullying. Which is kind of what you're doing with the calm down thing too. Is like, you're being a bully, chill out. It's like, wait, I was?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
because your adrenaline and your feelings just like explode, but you don't realize that you're exploding on someone for no reason, and that's...
Yeah, because I know what I try to do, I like, it's similar to what you just said. It's calling people out on it, I think, is important.
Yeah.
Because I have called people out on, like, what you're doing right now. This is a bully tactic, and this is my response to you. I'm not a fan of the bully tactics, so let's rethink about what we want to do here. Like that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which is tough conversations, and it's hard to overcome, because it's still effective in ways where you do get the initial feelings of being put down, but then you have to kind of feel it, overcome it, and respond with your calm manner, which is it's hard work. That's hard work.
It is hard work. It's a lot of hard work, and unfortunately, I feel like you have to train your brain and your heart to be strong. You really have to train it to be strong, because especially as an actress too, like I get rejected all the time being an actor.
It's part of the job.
It's part of the job, and it's just like it's a part of just like training yourself to just breathe and let it go and realize it doesn't matter. Like, this is not going to dictate who I am and how I live my life. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's
just kind of like letting it go, and it's a process. I still cry because it's still very hard, and you're going to come to points in your life where you're really dealing with it, and it's super hard to deal with, and that's when you want to reach out to your friends, reach out to your families, whoever is in your circle that can make you feel comfortable, maybe have gone through the same things, or go for a walk on the beach or something that you can do to just relieve yourself from it. But it really is about how we internally take it and then perceive on.
It's definitely a weird thing, because I know I've been reading a lot of books, and I feel like the books I'm being recommended a lot have to do a lot of, they're like trippy books with like consciousness, and like I'm reading a book on the brief history of humans.
Okay.
So it's just kind of talking about how society's developed and how, I'm like, so digging into how much power we have in our brain. And it's a weird thing to say, like, it's your choice on how you respond, and it's your choice on how you feel, which is yes and no. Because, like I said, there is still, based on your own experience, you'll get reactions subconsciously that you'll receive, and then observing the thoughts and realizing, okay, now here's the choice moment on the reaction.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's hard, and sometimes you have what's called trigger reactions, where someone does something, and for some reason it just like triggers your body to do something, and you're like, why did I just snap at this person? This person wasn't doing anything. What in my past has made that come out, in me? And it's a continuing process that we all have to learn how to maintain and work through.
Yeah, that comes with I think society's doing a good job of normalizing like therapy and stuff. I think that is a good thing.
Right.
I've never done it myself because I'm cheap and I can't afford it.
Right. Therapy,
but I like the idea
therapy
of it.
back in the day was this thing like, if you're going to therapy,
Taboo.
there's something wrong with you, sort of thing. And it's like, no, there doesn't need to be something wrong with you. Go to therapy to relieve your stress and your anxiety and stuff. Like, it's very healthy.
Mental health.
Mental health. It's very healthy.
And that's what From Under the Bridge.
Yeah.
Is all about.
Yes.
It helps bring to light or give a understanding to what may actually be going on behind the curtains of the action of the bully. The bully action. It's like, all right, let's dig into why this is happening.
Right.
And what it can lead to. And,
which is the whole waterfall effect in the film, where it's like the bully is being a bully because the bully is also getting bullied, or like it's a waterfall sort of situation that's happening, effect that's going on. And that's why the letters we created are all connected, because it's a waterfall.
Oh, dang. I did not notice that.
Yeah,
nice detail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tough segue.
Okay.
But at the same time, this title is great. Is this the right... Hulu. You recently had a project.
Yes.
That you didn't produce it.
Didn't produce, no.
You were...
UPM.
Unit Production Manager. Recently got picked up by Hulu.
Yes.
The show is in its second season?
First season. Yeah.
Okay. I want to hear about that process.
Okay.
And how much you know about the behind the scenes of it. As the UPM, I don't know. Okay, yeah. The show is called...
Everyone's Doing Great.
Okay, I was going to say, I was really afraid I was going to say the wrong show. Everyone is Doing Great.
Yes.
Which I feel is a proper segue from what we were just talking about, too, with emotion.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing great.
Everyone's doing great.
Okay, so...
Which is what social media, portrays, right? Everybody's life is great.
People try to give little glimpses here and there. It's normally...
Every once in a while,
It's normally in the description
right.
of your beautiful photo. And you're like, by the way, everybody, here's how tough life is.
Been. Yeah.
I'm overcoming it.
Right.
With you.
Right.
But yeah, everyone's doing great. Okay, so... I've heard good things.
Yeah.
And getting a show on Hulu sounds super cool.
Yeah.
So what do you know? What can you tell us? How did that work? And I believe you acted in it as well.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to get a co-star role in it, which is great.
Nice.
So I, through networking,
always, through my boyfriend, he knew these filmmakers, and then one of their films came out. We went to their screening. I met the producer, Michelle, through the screening, and then we really connected because she does producing and acting as well. So we really connected in that sense. And then she called me, I think, probably 6 months after that screening, and said, hey, I have this independent TV series that I'm doing with James Lafferty. And I'm like, I didn't know who James Lafferty really was back then. But apparently he was this actor on this really big hit show called One Tree Hill. And he's doing more directing and acting now.
They've done a lot of films in the past together. Him and Michelle have. So she was like, I need a right-hand woman. I need like a right-hand man to be my producing kind of buddy liaison. Like I need someone like on set to take care of the day-to-day operations.
Yep, the UPM.
And that was my biggest like production job I've ever had.
So what was the? Because I'm not too familiar with the show. So as far as what was the objective at that moment when you're being reached out to? Was it like, all right, we're doing, is it half hour comedy?
The objective was they were going to do, they already filmed the pilot. They've raised the money on, I believe it was Indiegogo. They raised the money to do 7 more episodes. So it would be an 8 episode series independently without like, you know, a backing of a production company or anything like that. And at first it was like I was supposed to help out with like paperwork and day-to-day operations and stuff like that. And I met with, you know, the producers, the executive producers, and James and Steven and the creators, because they were also directing and writing and concepting. And it's very much like an improv kind of show where they have the script written out and they have like an outline of what they want, but they're going to allow the actors to kind of...
Yeah, they have like story beats they got to hit,
right?
But they can play around within that. They can play around
within it, which would be fun. You know, you see what kind of comes out in the scene, and it was really funny to watch on set when we were filming. Like the takes would be really, really long because they would just keep on going and vibing with each other, which is fun. But I ended up like helping out with location management, like finding locations. I did all of the graphics that are in the films, so the series, so anything that you see on their phones, or like the stickers that are on like the cars, or the t-shirts that they're wearing, like the branded t-shirts that they're wearing. I actually ended up doing like all the graphic stuff for that because I have a design background. Yeah. So I kind of like, hey, do you have someone that's doing this? And it was a very low budget series, so it's kind of like you have to wear multiple hats. And I've always weared multiple hats on every single production I've been on. So I helped them out with location, like finding locations. I helped them out with the graphical stuff. And then on set, I was pretty much like the line producer, making sure everybody was getting there on time, kind of taking care of the day-to-day operation. If anything happened, I would reach out to like the producers and taking care of all the paperwork and the receipts and those sort of things. And through Michelle, because Michelle also produced it and she has a co-star role in it as well. Through Michelle, James, who's the creator and director, the main director, he was like, "Oh, you do acting too?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, we have this small role that we need to fill. Why don't we just give it to Connie? Why don't we just give it?" And I was like, "Okay, great. That's awesome." And I actually was only supposed to be in 1 episode, and I ended up making 2 episodes, which is great. Nice. So yeah, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. It was 3 months of work. It was...
Because how long are the episodes? I don't think you mentioned.
The episodes are about half an hour. Okay. Some of them run a little bit over half an hour. They're all different times.
Yeah, it's a lot to shoot.
It's a lot to shoot. It was a lot of locations. It was, I think, a good 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks straight of shooting. Like we were 6 days on, 1 day off, sort of thing. Sometimes we would have 2 days off, but it was mainly 6 and 1. So it was a lot. But it was like my first big job in Los Angeles, and it was my first bigger production job. I've never had like a production job like that before, where I'm on set for 4 weeks. Yeah. I've only have done shorter content stuff where it's like 2 days, 3 days sort of situation.
So this was when was this being shot?
2018. So this is like my first big year in LA. I moved to LA in June 2017, but I didn't really start getting rolling because, you know, you have to get yourself established. You have to get your stuff, you know, up and running. And then we shot that, I think we started development and everything in September of 2018 and then finished by November. So.
Which is when I moved here.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Because I would have hired you if I knew you.
I was wondering.
But yeah, it was very exciting at the end of 2020 when I got the email from Michelle saying that Hulu picked it up. Hulu picked up our show. And I was just like, wow. Like, I didn't really hear a lot from the show. Like, they did a few film festivals and showed it at some film festivals because some film festivals do show, like, pilots or series, like TV series at their festivals. Yeah,
because they're not going to stream the full series.
Right. They're not going to stream the full series at a festival.
Yeah.
So they showed mainly the pilot in the second episode.
Maybe like a sizzle or something.
Right. At festivals. So I knew that they were doing that, and I went to a few of the LA events when the world was normal. And kept in touch with everybody, but I just kind of had this funny feeling like, I don't know if this is going to see the light of day sort of thing. It's been 2 years. And I got the email and I was really excited. One of my goals, I guess, this year was to co-star in a streaming platform. And I was like, well, I guess I already did that 2 years ago and didn't know.
I'm sure.
Until now. So
do you,
it was really exciting.
Okay, so you helped on set with the production as UPM. Once you wrapped, you're kind of, you're no longer...
Yeah, as a UPM,
you're just
and an actor, I'm no longer really.
Okay. Yeah, because
I don't deal with the development, the marketing, the distribution side of things. I'm pretty much.
Yeah, it's interesting.
My job is done.
Yeah, because I guess I'm curious, being that, like, I've got It's What's on the Inside. Coming out soon. Still haven't released publicly when that's going to be, but I do know.
That's fine.
So I'm always curious about that stage, taking a project from production, and then all this time goes by, and you're like, and you get the update, and it's like, hey, guess what? We landed a deal, or whatever the thing is, and I'm just like, all right, I wonder what that looked like for them, or what the plan of attack was, because I think that's what I hear for series these days. If you want to make a show, rumor has it is platforms are more likely to buy a completed show, such as what you guys did for that, versus coming to them with a pilot or just a script that they have. They're not.
It's a mixture of both.
Yeah, because I hear like pilot season isn't really as much of a thing anymore. Because
pilot season is all year now. It's not really like a.
But companies are more likely to greenlight a full series versus just greenlight the one pilot. So it's like a weird.
Sometimes.
It's all over the place.
Yeah,
it's kind of my point.
There really is no. I always say this to people in the industry. There is no like instruction guide to the industry. It's everybody has different paths, and they make it in their own different ways, and there's no rules. Really?
There's one rule. There's one rule, and I like to bring it up. It comes up every time.
Okay.
It's pretty much be awesome.
Be awesome. Okay.
If you're, because the stories, be awesome at your job.
Well,
you'll get hired.
You know what? I would say the one rule is be passionate. Actually.
No.
Yeah, it really is.
It's got to be a combo, I guess. If you're gonna throw passion in, if you're passionate and the project sucks, Hulu ain't gonna pick it up.
Yeah, I know. But if that's not your intention for Hulu to pick it up and you just want to make a project because you're passionate about it, go for it.
100%.
Right? Do what makes you feel happy.
100%.
Yeah. That's why I think passion is a big key.
I don't
like to put things on a pedestal. Like, I do things specifically for the passion for it. Mm-hmm. And if it gets a certain way, if it gets to Hulu, if it gets to South by, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome.
Sure.
Like, I at least still made something that was very proud of and passionate about.
I 100% agree with that. I almost feel like we're talking about different things, though.
Okay.
But maybe we're not.
Maybe we're not.
But yeah. I mean, I like to approach it that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was having this conversation with my roomie recently, too, where it was like, during lulls between productions and stuff, I get really, like, itch. I don't like to use the word itch. It sounds like you have something else. I get...
You get antsy.
I get antsy about needing to, like, create something.
Right.
So
right.
I'm planning another super tiny half-day kind of fun little shoot.
Oh, cool.
And I was trying to get my roomie to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just say, like, you know what? Like, I'm just happy to hang out with friends and make a fun little thing, and that's kind of all I have invested into it. And he's a little bit more like, well, actually, it's got to be like really good, and here's the specific thing, and I only want to be involved if this is what we're doing. I'm like, whoa, chill, bro.
Right.
Where's the passion at? So it's a tough balance.
Yeah, it's a tough balance when collaborating with people, because there are some people that are like, well, if I'm going to invest my time and maybe even money into this, I want it to be the best it can ever be.
Yeah, time is valuable, 100%.
I want it to go somewhere. And then there's other people that are like, they're willing to put a lot of time and money and invest into it, but they're just passionate about just creating something and making something. And I feel like you have to have a balance of both. You know?
Well, yeah,
because
I like to...
if you're only doing stuff because you want this certain status, the project... I feel like when I watch projects that the goal and intention of the creators is because they want an Oscar, is because they want this award, this status. The project kind of is, it's okay. And then you talk to those people, right? You interview those people or have a Q&A with those people, and you don't see the passion in them about the story that they make, and you're just kind of like, okay, you know?
Yeah, it's a, I forget what that's called. Yeah. I don't know what it's called.
But for me, I feel like it's more exciting to dive into something, put 125% or whatever into it, and be passionate about it, and then 2 years later, it's like, oh, Hulu picked it up. Oh, wow! You know, like you had no expectations. You put your 100%. You're passionate about the project because you were passionate and you're creative about the creative process, and then
there you go. You said the word.
You have a surprise.
Yeah, it's the process.
It's the process.
If you don't love the process, what's the point?
Exactly. I just don't like I'm just the type of person, I don't put things on a pedestal. I don't expect, because I'm going to give this much effort into a project, I'm going to get this out of it. Mm-hmm. I put that effort into the project because I enjoy the project, or I'm passionate about the story.
Because you care.
Because I care. Right.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like, unless there's anything else to say about Everyone is Doing Great, what episodes are you in?
I am in episodes 7 and 8. So the end of the series.
Cool.
But I put a lot of work into the other episodes
Yeah, for sure. You were part of all of it. You had very cool.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was like I said, I've never experienced being on a production that long, like 4 weeks of seeing the same people and collaborating and funny stories that come up and funny things that come up. It was I hope I have an opportunity to do that again on a project.
Yeah, I think my record is around probably the same-ish. I mean, it was that Mustang thing where I was a smaller position. I was a personal assistant to the director.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I stayed for rap after too, because there was like a couple weeks of rap, pre and then production, so it came out to maybe like 2.5 months.
Oh wow.
But since then, since LA, it's been,
Yeah.
2-3 weeks maybe.
Right.
But yeah, it would be interesting because one of I want to jump into 2021 and goals. I like talking about what's next and what we're pushing for.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm pushing for, that I've been pushing off, is joining the union as a script supervisor.
Yeah.
And of course, union world means bigger shows, which means longer shoots. Like if you think about network TV or any other, those are like 7-8 month projects.
Right. Like you can get on a soap opera and you can work
forever
every day for years.
Yeah. But I don't, being that I've never experienced it, I wonder what that feels like, and I hope to learn soon, but it feels scary. Like, wait, I'm stuck with the same people for how long? What? You mean I can't experience 10 different projects during this amount of time? It's just one?
Right. I think
it's weird.
I think you're gonna need to figure that out for yourself, right? Like if you get involved with the project, and
it's a commitment.
It's a commitment, yeah.
Same with producing.
But you always have the choice to decide to go a different route. If you're like, okay, I've done this project for, like if you get on a soap opera, I've done this soap opera for a year, I've seen the same people for a year.
You can jump ship.
I kind of want to jump ship and do other things and meet other new people.
Yeah, 100%.
You can navigate. That's what's so great about life, is that you can navigate. It's not a one path sort of thing. My entire life people are like, why are you doing this in production and this and this and this? Like, why don't you just focus on one thing? And I'm like, because if I focused on one thing, I would go insane. Like, I would get bored of it, and I wouldn't have that drive. And I need to have multiple things going on in my life because it colors my life. I want a colorful life. Mm-hmm. So that's great.
You'd get bored, you go crazy, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, with that being said, what's 2021? What are your expectations for the year as a creative? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, I'm hoping that,
the world
is better in 2021. I know that it's still going to take a long time for things to get back to normal, and I don't think things are going to be normal. Like, it's going to be a different normal. It's not going to be the same, but I hope that things do start to pick up and get better. But I already have things in development. I am producing another AFI DWW short film that is going to hopefully film in April. And so we're going to be doing crowdfunding and marketing for it pretty soon. I thought I was done with AFI, but
AFI is great. DWW?
DWW
that's
again.
The
Directors Workshop for Women, mainly for women filmmakers. And so,
yeah, I know one of the directors going through this year.
Oh yeah, which one do you know?
April.
Oh, April?
Maxie?
Yeah. So I'm working with Kelly Pike.
Okay, I don't know Kelly. Pike. But very cool.
Yeah, so I did this in 2019. I did this talk at AFI with Ashley about producing, and I met Kelly, and then Kelly approached me about her film, and I really liked the story, and I was like, okay, I'll produce it. And luckily I have a producing team, so I'm not the only producer on it.
Nice.
Great. And she gave me a little acting role in it too, so I'm excited to play a school teacher. Should be fun.
Yeah.
So I have that in development. That's kind of we're gonna fundraise for that, and then hopefully filming will be like in March or April.
You played a school teacher in my film.
I did. I wasn't really at a school, but
it was the personality of
a school teacher. Yeah, and I recently actually played a school teacher in a little mini short film a few months ago. So that was fun. But
cool.
so I have that. And then, of course, post-production for From Under the Bridge is going on right now. We hope to have the completed film done by the end of this month so we can start submitting to film festivals. Because, film festival deadlines are coming up. Like Cannes is specifically one that we want to submit to. We want to get that done and get that rolling and get that out there in the world. So that for me as a producer is just kind of coordinating, like looking at the rough cut, coordinating the sound editor to go in there and do his work, and then reviewing that, and then paperwork, coordinating the composer, all that kind of stuff. And then making a list of film festivals that we want to attack. And I'm doing the same thing with another short film that I did in December called Aubergine, about a sex worker in San Francisco. And I completely did that entire short film, produced the entire short film virtually.
Whoa.
Because of the pandemic, I didn't fly to San Francisco. Everything was virtual. I was on set virtual. And it was a very interesting experience. But I was like, I could do more virtual producing.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, producing could. I feel like it's very virtual friendly. Just of course there are benefits of being on the ground.
Right.
But
right.
I don't know. How is did they have like an iPad set up where you can kind of live stream and watch what's going on?
Yeah, so they had an iPad set up, and then I could see the monitor, and then I communicated with the director a couple times, to say, hey, you should make sure you get this shot, whatever. But I also had like a production manager on the ground taking care of making sure people are getting their food and that sort of thing. So yeah, that was nice and interesting, and so we wrapped and we already have the completed film already done because it was a very mini short film.
What's that, like 5 minutes or something? Or
it was, I think it's like 8 minutes
yeah.
overall, but it was like one location, 1 day shoot.
Sounds nice.
Sort of thing. So it was pretty easy to do. So we're starting to submit to film festivals right now, and then. Paul and I are continuing our working relationship, and we are going to do another short film called The Best Man. And I'm going to be more of an actor and creative producer on the project, so I will need to hire a producer, a logistical producer for it. So we are going to start developing that, concepting that after we get From Under the Bridge done. And then Paul has, a whole bunch of other projects that he's working on. He might do a film in London that he might bring me on. He has another TV series that he's working on that he'll hopefully bring me on. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like my year is pretty
Is there
packed.
So I feel like you're kind of like me in the way of there's a lot of expectation in a way of I'm counting on this year chilling out a little bit. And like you kind of said, some new normal where I don't know what I'm saying. The whole point is we want it to be a good year.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
there's an expectation of I don't want to phrase this in a bad way. All right. There's a way things are going to get better. Things are going to ease up.
Yeah.
And hopefully people can stay healthy safely and whatnot. And that allows for film to kind of open up and be free and puts us to work. So
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my expectations for the new year is like, I hope the world gets better and I hope things can come back to normal. I hope, people can survive again. I mean, there's so many people out there that are just like hurting right now.
LA's got bad numbers.
Right. I hope people can go back to work.
Well, that's the book I'm reading right there.
Oh, okay. A Brief History of Humankind. yeah, and then I already have like these sort of things in development, in the works, like on the books.
Yeah.
And whatever comes from
Yeah,
that
just staying
comes
open.
from that, and just kind of just keep on moving forward and see where life takes me, sort of
Cool. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for being a part and coming out.
Yeah.
And all the best in the new year.
Yes, you too. I'll have to work with you some more.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Bye.
Bye.